That's actually a good point. I haven't made a standard old-fashioned on this page yet, so let's go and fix that right now. Some people might choose to mix their old-fashioned in a glass and then pour it over ice, or neat. You could do that if you want, but I prefer just to build mine in the glass that I'm going to be drinking from. I always start with my bitters. I'm going to go with Angostura. I like, with this style of jiggers, this style dasher top, I'm probably going to go with about 5. Straight off the bottle, I usually go with 2 or 3. Next thing, we need some simple. An old-fashioned is not a sweet drink, but I think it does need to be sweeter than most people realize. It shouldn't be, I don't think it should be like pure spirit. So I usually go, about 1/3, just between 1/4 and 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. And this is a 2-to-1 simple. I usually prefer mine with rye, but I'm going to go ahead and do this Yellowstone bourbon today. And I should take this opportunity to point out that while whiskey is the current classic sort of choice, you can really make an old-fashioned out of any spirit. I've made old-fashions out of everything from whiskey to rum to tequila to gin, and while I do need to sometimes change up the bitters and the simple to get it to the perfect taste, they all work just fine. Lower in my large rock. This glass was previously chilled, so I don't need to stir it too much. You want your old-fashioned to be cold, but I don't think you want it like martini cold. You want to be able to still taste the bourbon, so just a few seconds, that's fine for me. While some people might choose lemon, orange is definitely the classic approach, and what I prefer. Just going to go ahead and peel a little bit right over the top. And I see no need to get fancy, but make sure you express... Oh, crap. That one got a little bit away from me. It's alright. It's an old-fashioned. Doesn't need to be taken too seriously, and that is how I like to make mine. It has been probably a few weeks, maybe even a couple months of it just made an old-fashioned, and man, are they good. It's really just kind of a framework to take the whiskey, or any spirit as I mentioned, but whatever spirit it is, take it in question, add the bitters, some simple, and the citrus to elevate it and frame it, so you can actually taste some of the different notes a bit more in depth. It's a little sweet, but not too much. Really peanutty. This is an amazing bourbon, this Yellowstone Select. The Angostura is bringing some nice spiciness to it. The orange is on the nose, but those oils, it all mingles with your palate. It's a lovely thing. And if you haven't made an old-fashioned yet, well, you should, because it's like one of the first drinks I think everyone should know. There are 1 or 2 trends that some more pretentious bartenders will do. That's where they make the old-fashioned better that I don't like. Some people will use a sugar cube. They'll take a sugar cube, add it to the glass, add a splash of soda water, and then muddle that, and they claim that this is less dilution than if you go with a simple syrup. Now, I go with a 2-to-1 sugar to water ratio of simple syrup. Most places will do either that. A lot of bars are actually going to serve 1-to-1 ratio. And I just can't see that you're adding a sugar cube and you're adding so little water that you're keeping the same ratio without the added dilution. That makes no sense to me. Now, if you're at a bar and you're trying to make more of a show out of it, because the more steps you can put into a cocktail in a reasonable amount of time, the more flair it kind of has, and the more people might appreciate it. Because when you go to a bar, a big part of it, when you're paying a decent amount for a cocktail, you should get a bit of a show. Sugar cubes, I think, are completely necessary. Go with simple syrup. It's going to taste probably better, if not exactly the same, and the sugar cube adds nothing but an extra step, and then you have to go and buy sugar cubes. One more thing I want to address. There is a version of an old-fashioned called Wisconsin Old-Fashioned that it uses brandy and crushed ice, but the main thing it does that I hate, and a lot of other bartenders will agree, will take a slice of orange and a cherry and muddle it into the bottom, usually along with the sugar, and then pour in the bitters and the whiskey of choice and stir it around, or brandy, actually, in Wisconsin. That's a terrible way to make an old-fashioned. The orange juice makes it taste way too watered down, same thing with the cherry. It adds nothing. The chipped ice is a pain in the ass to try to chew around, and the sugar never really dissolves properly because, well, there's really not enough water in there to break it down in the amount of time reasonable it takes to stir an old-fashioned. So if your bartender ever uses a sugar cube or begins to muddle anything in your old-fashioned, drink it, be polite, tip them well, they don't know better, make a better one at home. You can. Sorry I've been away for probably upwards of a week. Full disclosure, I had a bit too much to drink, and I had to take a break for like a few days at least. So I'm back now, and I don't know if I'm going to go back to doing these every single day, but I'm planning on starting to stockpile these videos and releasing them 3 or 4 days a week. So be sure you're following to keep an eye out for that. And if you're on Instagram more often than you are here, why don't you go ahead and hop over to drink_makers_guide and, well, follow me on Instagram. Drink responsibly, stay safe out there, and yeah, I got nothing else.